Got a PM from a guy saying he wanted me to make a video about this Rand Paul thing, and I don't know what to say. People are using the mythology of racism as an assault on property. Junior Bacon Chi predicted this. I predicted this. They're saying, well, if you let people totally own their stuff, they could discriminate based on race. And of course, and like, you have the reason segregation lasted so long in the former Confederate states is because of Jim Crow laws. They're enforced by the state. You had to have Jim Crow laws, and when people say law today, they mean state law. The reason you had to do that is because the free market tends toward multiculturalism. The free market tends toward integration into greater, more expansive structures of production. And so they had to have laws to put those in place. Slavery, similar thing. States actually conscripted slave patrols. So all this stuff required the state. And at the time, the only forces that were working against slavery and then Jim Crow laws were market forces, and it was state against the market. And so now today, of course, you have the state forcing integration or forced association, and the free market people are saying that's bad, saying, oh, so you're for segregation of your, and of course a lot of people believe that Jim Crow laws didn't really exist, and it was actually all a result of market forces, as you could have. And this comes from crappy economic beliefs that oligopsonies can be sustained in the long run on a free market. It goes back to poor economic views that firms can get together and shut out people on a labor market in a systematic fashion. I mean, they can for short periods of time and in peculiar circumstances, but we're talking, the entire southern U.S. here. And of course, you're seeing lots of moral arguments, right? Because morality doesn't really exist, and so morality is just used to justify, give certain preferences superpowers, and that's what's happening, right? The majority preferences become moral, right? Because you make moral arguments, and moral arguments are crap. But the only people you're going to convince of moral arguments. How did I say that? The people who hold your positions are going to be convinced by your moral arguments because it leads to the positions you want. It leads to your preferences. And so morality is just a buttress for the majority position and makes the minority positions even harder to defend. And it's all a little bit silly and a little bit arbitrary. Because let's say you have a guy with a apartment building, and he only wants to rent out units to hot girls. Would we say this guy is a sexist and, discriminates based on looks? Well, sure. But would there be outrage over that? I don't think there would be outrage over that. Oh, well, you only want to let in hot girls? Well, okay, that's your property, your prerogative. Okay. And now let's say the guy says, I only want to let in hot girls, but I have an odd standard of hotness. I only think, let's pick someone. I only think black girls are hot girls. So I'm not going to let in any white girls. I'm not going to let any Latino girls. And say, okay, maybe you're a little bit racist, but we'll let that slide. And let's say you have a guy saying, well, I'm only going to let in black people. Well, we may be able to get away with that. Well, let's just go with it. Let's say he only wants to let in white people. We wouldn't be able to get away with that. That would all of a sudden call for state intervention to say, no, you need to allow Mexicans and black people and Asian people into your apartment complex. And it's arbitrary. And it's just an assault on property. So, and that of course opens the doorway for, if the state can tell you, but basically, like, ownership comes from the ability to exclude. If you can't exclude somebody from something, then you don't own it. If someone can just come in and start using a car, then obviously it's not your car. Right? The whole point of it being your car is that people can't come in and use it. Right? You exclude them from it. And you can let other people use it or whatever, but you get to choose who can use it. And you get to choose who to exclude. Exclusion is ownership. Without exclusion, there is no ownership. It is restriction. It is walls. It is saying, get the fuck out. That is ownership. Alright. That's all I wanted to say.